morning, and it's a blessed day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It is a program where we review stories making headlines on our national papers. I am Owolabi Tosin, and I'll be reviewing papers alongside Bok Yepian. Good morning, Bok.
Good morning, Tosin.
How are
Was
you?
your night?
Fine. Hope you had a good night.
I did.
Let's start reviewing the papers with the blueprint.
All right, starting with The Guardian. Arrest police brutality headline hashtag NSAS memorial in Lagos, Abuja. Over 20 police stations burnt by hoodlums yet to be refurbished. Federal government claims Lekki killings false. Phantom massacre. U.S. advises protesters to engage leaders politically. No justice for victims of police brutality 1 year after our laments. Huriwa asks National Assembly to set up protection board for protesters. NBA demands release of arrested protesters, journalists. Hashtag NSAS protests akin to June 12 struggle, says Arugundadi. Federal government has failed to learn from history, says Access to Justice. There is so much injustice in this country. The police are underpaid and have not learned any lesson from the hashtag NSAS. These were the last words of a Canadian-based protester, Patrick Eholo, yesterday while speaking with journalists at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos before officers of the Rapid Response Squad, RRS, swarmed on him, removed his cap and whisked him away into a waiting Black Maria. As over 300 hashtag NSAS protesters await freedom from several correctional centers a year after, more youths were yesterday bounded into custody by the police for daring to observe a memorial rather of the last year's long-lasting hashtag NSAS protests. Anxiety in defunct oil agencies as new heads take charge. PDP governors, meet to resolve threats to convention consensus arrangement. Motion announces 25th Festival 2021. EFCC arraigns Olejeme for alleged 69 billion naira fraud. And the last story here says Turkey coup plotters still active in Nigeria. Erdogan warns Buhari. Declare bandits as terrorists. El-Rufai urges federal government. Nigeria-Turkey trade volume to expand by $5 billion. Security experts urge Buhari to take FETO alert seriously. Sign MOU on energy, defense, industry, and mining. Visiting Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has raised the alarm over presence of a terror group hibernating in Nigeria. Fethullah Terrorist Organization FETO, as both nations yesterday signed 8 critical bilateral agreements on energy, defense, and hydrocarbon, among others. Erdogan, who is on a 2-day official visit to Nigeria, made the revelation at the presidential villa, Abuja, where he met President Muhammadu Buhari. Specifically, FETO, an atypical armed terror group exploiting religious sentiments of the people, was said to be behind the failed 2016 coup attempt in Turkey. Recall that Turkey had accused the coup leaders to being linked to the Gulen movement led by Fethullah Gulen. More detail of this story you can find on The Guardian, as we have two picture stories here remembering hashtag #EndSARS. Protesters at Lekki toll gate in Lagos yesterday. Another picture story is a detachment of heavily armed policemen who were watching protesters at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos yesterday. That's all the stories making headline on the Guardian newspaper. Do well to get the paper and read more detail of stories that interest you.
And for the Blueprint newspaper, we have the screaming headlines which says, 1 year after EndSARS Phantom Massacre. You should be thoroughly ashamed of yourself, federal government tells CNN. With the rider restricted protest in Abuja, pandemonium in Lekki. We fired tear gas at hoodlums who hijacked the protest, coming from the police. Chief security officers hold commemorative stakeholders summit in Osun. Federal government, World Bank to raise $30 million for COVID-19 vaccine plans. Nigeria, Turkey sign agreement on energy, mining, defense. And we have National Convention. PDP rakes in 63.2 million naira from 33 aspirants, with the rider committee screens Ayu, Arapaja, and others. Bandits abduct 30 passengers in Niger. Bandits have struck again and the abduction of 13 passengers at Garungabas in Rafi local government area of Niger State. The passengers were reportedly abducted on Wednesday by the gunmen from 3 separate vehicles comprising of 18-seater bus and 2 other vehicles. It was learned that the bandits in their large numbers with dangerous weapons stormed Zungeru Garungabas highway, shooting sporadically to scare villagers before kidnapping the passengers to unknown destination. One of the villagers who pleaded anonymity said in a telephone interview that the bandits have now advanced to Kudun Rafi in Rafi local government council to rustle cattle in that area. The police public relations officer, Niger State Command DSP Wasiu Abiodun, could not be reached on the incident. Still on the Blueprint newspaper, we have Kaduna insecurity, 888 killed, 2,553 kidnapped in 6 months. And this is a report with the rider 12,860 animals rustled in 8 months, 10 persons raped. Man bags 7-year jail for raping 18-year-old in Ebonyi. And on Iseyin killings, victims' families demand 4.5 billion naira compensation from custom. And Ondo to civil servants, no COVID-19 vaccination, no work. A statement issued by Oboluwa Famakinwa and made available to Blueprint on Wednesday, the Permanent Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs in State, Chief Segun Odusanya, stated that the state had made the presentation of COVID-19 vaccination card and compliance to its protocol precondition gate pass to their workplaces beginning from November 1st, 2021. Chief Odusanya, who said those without the vaccination card will not be allowed into the ministry, gave this warning at a meeting with the management and members of staff of the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Akure. He explained that the meeting was fallout of an earlier one with the head of service, Pastor Niron Adeyemo, where he directed that any civil servant on government payroll not vaccinated by the 1st of November should not be allowed into the office. Vowing to enforce the directives as a means of protecting members of staff, Chief Odusanya reminded them that the pandemic was not yet over, hence the need to be vaccinated and to obey the protocols. He urged them to prioritize their health by doing routine checks of their blood pressure, blood sugar, and other necessary checks, as death could be prevented if one is careful and sensitive. And still on the Blueprint newspaper, we have the last story which says Senate slams NBRI over poor revenue generation. And we have a picture story on the Blueprint newspaper. Do well to visit the Blueprint newspaper to look out for other stories that interest you. And that's all the news making headlines on the Blueprint newspaper.
And now moving on to first news. 1 year after federal government to compensate EndSARS victims, Nigeria lost 700 billion naira to last year's protest. This is a report from LCCI as Omokri vows to approach International Criminal Court against Buhari. Alleged 5 billion naira fraud case begins against Stella Odua. Anxiety as Nnamdi Kanu's trial begins. People doubt if he's still alive, says lead counsel. On Anambra governorship, recent killings, attacks not sufficient to stall November 6 poll, says INEC. 14-year-old girl tells court, Baba Ijesha told me, I'm your boyfriend. Will find killers of Imo's traditional rulers, police assure, as fear grips Southeast communities. And on COVID-19, US set to vaccinate 5 to 11 years old kids. Again, court convicts 2 for cybercrime love scam. And the last story here says AFDB promises to assist Nigeria on food security challenges. On Wednesday, 28 October 2021, the president of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has stated that the bank will provide Nigeria with strong support to tackle its food security challenges. He stated this while he received a high-level Nigerian delegation led by Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Muhammad Abubakar. The statement issued by the bank on Tuesday was titled African Development Bank Group President Akinwumi Adesina assures Nigeria of bank's strong support to achieve food security. The statement partly read, Adesina said the bank's strategic support for Nigeria's food production would be hinged on 5 factors: support, scale, systematic, speed, and sustainability. Dr. Adesina further quoted to have said, I want to assure President Buhari that the African Development Bank will provide his government with very strong support to tackle the country's food security challenges. Inflation in Nigeria is high at 16% or more. Of course, the biggest share of the consumer price index is the price of food at almost 65%. So if we can drive down the price of food, of course, we can drive down inflation. The AFDB president then went on to ask the Agriculture Minister to focus on developing the right team and strategy to boost farming seasons in the country. In response to this, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Muhammad Abubakar, asked for the bank's support to recapitalize the country's Bank of Agriculture, with both parties establishing a task force team to develop a plan for accelerated implementation within the 60 days. The minister added that the purpose of the visit was to enhance food production, reduce food inflation, and ensure wealth. And that's all the stories we have on First News. Do well to get the paper and read more details of stories that interest you.
And for Nigerian News Direct, the big story on #EndSARS anniversary, protesters dare police in Lagos, Abuja, and others. And the rider says, as federal government moves compulsory psychiatric test of security agents, with details in page 23 of the Nigerian News Direct. Jamo rallies support for Nigerians' IMO Category C reinstatement. National Assembly leaders guarantees efficiency of legislature coming from the Senate President. And Kwara pitch, government to sponsor owners of 3 best ideas to South Africa. Osun Food Support Scheme will reach 210,000 households coming from Osun State government. And court jails 3 oil thieves in Port Harcourt. A federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, has convicted and sentenced 3 oil thieves to 3 months of community service for illegally dealing in petroleum products. The convicts Ilyasu Ibrahim, Shehu Idris, and Muhammad Bello were convicted in 2 separate judgments after pleading guilty to a charge bordering on illegal dealings in petroleum products. This was contained in a statement by the head media and publicity of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, Wilson Uwajoren, and made available to newsmen in Port Harcourt. Majoren said the convicts were arraigned at the Federal High Court presided over by Justice S.D. Palm and A.T. Mohammed by the Port Harcourt Zonal Command of the EFCC. He said they were arrested by EFCC operatives acting on a verified intelligence on September 6, 2021 at Ahoda local government area of Rivers State. At the scene where several bunkered petroleum products were assembled and sold along the road to trucks and vehicles within the location. The loan count, according to the statement, reads that Ilyasu Ibrahim, on or about 10th day of September 2021 at Port Harcourt, Rivers State, within the jurisdiction of the court, dealt in petroleum products, to wit, automotive gas oil, which is not of the quality for automotive gas oil, and thereby committed an offence contrary to Section 118, subsection 2 of the Miscellaneous Offence Act 17 of the revised edition. They pleaded guilty to the charge preferred against them by the prosecution. Justice Palm convicted and sentenced Ilyasu Ibrahim to 3 months of community service with an option of 50,000 naira fine. Also, Justice Mohammed convicted and sentenced Idris and Bello to 3 months of community service with an option of 50,000 naira fine each. Both judges ordered that the illegally refined automotive gas oil stored in 23 jerry cans be sold by the courts in conjunction with EFCC officials, and the proceeds paid into the consolidation revenue account of the federal government. Still on Nigerian News Direct, we have on Kwara pitch, government to sponsor owners of 3 best ideas to South Africa. And we have a picture story on the Nigerian News Direct. On the front page, we can see the Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, present maritime memorable to the Portuguese Defense Minister, Jogo Titrington, and at the Athletic Center Conference in Lisbon recently. And those are the stories making headlines on the Nigerian News Direct. That's all for the Nigerian News Direct.
Thank you, Tosin. Moving on to The Punch. The big story still on hashtag NSAS panel compensation. Lagos pays 420 million naira. NBA falls Akwa Ibom, Ogun, Oyo, Benue for shortening payments. Will submit report to NEC Abuja to pay victims, says Oyo. Police disrupt rallies, disperse protesters, journalists arrested. Insurance firms put claims at 20 billion naira, probes delay payments. States including Akwa Ibom, Oyo, Ogun, Enugu, Benue, Osun and Gombe have yet to pay victims of police brutality year after they set up panels on human rights violations. Officials of Akwa Ibom, Benue, and Oyo State, in separate interviews with newsmen on Wednesday, said since the federal government directed the setting up of panels which investigated complaints of human rights violations against the police, it should pay compensation for the victims. Newsmen gathered that the state had not paid compensation as ordered by the panels, included Akwa Ibom, Benue, Osun, Ogun, and Gombe, but it was learned that Lagos State had paid 420 million naira compensation to the victims. Following protests in 2020 against human rights violations by the dissolved Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other police units, the National Economic Council directed states to set up judicial panels of inquiry to investigate the complaints, with a view to delivering justice for all victims of police brutality. Findings indicated that no fewer than 16 had yet to submit their reports to NEC and pay compensation for the victims. It was gathered that some states which had submitted their reports had not paid the victims. Controller shortage hits NAMA, results to non-technical staff retirees. Power producers lost 1.66 trillion naira over non-payment for unused power. Terrorists who tried to overthrow me are in Nigeria, says Turkish president. Federal government will retain 1,500 staff of defunct PPPRA, DPRPEF, says Silva. NSIWC declines Punch FOI requests on military, police salaries, pensions. Enlist 774,000 youths from 774 local governments against bandits, El Rufai tells federal government. Victims' families demand 4.5 billion naira as customs deny Oyo killings. 4 Kwara police students expelled, 6 rusticated for exam fraud impersonation. Lawyers demand Kanu's presence as trial resumes today. Bandits allegedly kidnapped over 30 travelers, steal cows in Niger. Baba Ijesha defiled me with key, labeled himself boyfriend, says minor. The last story on Islamic title, Southwest Imams Taku Oluwo petition DSS report to Oyetola. And we still have more picture stories from the protesters at the Lekki Toll Gate, Victoria Island, Lagos yesterday to commemorate the 1-year #EndSARS anniversary in Lagos State. That's all the stories we have on the Punch newspaper today.
And for Nigerian Tribune, we have PDP National Convention, 33 aspirants to slug it out for National Working Committee post. Consensus breaks down over 3 positions, while Arapaja joined National Deputy Chairmanship contest, with details in page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. And another story here, a big story on the Nigerian Tribune on #EndSARS anniversary. Undeterred youth protest in Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Benin, Osogbo, and others. 1 year after alleged massacre, families of victims nowhere to be found, coming from Lai Mohammed. Lekki protesters dispersed with tear gas, coming from PDP, and PDP condemns renewed brutalization of protesters. Afenifere challenged government to fulfill promise. Nigerians' high debt profile, payroll is not the only cause, coming from Afe Babalola. in the back page of the Nigerian Tribune. And coming from the governor of Ekiti State, we have "Together we can defeat cancer." The Kayode Fayemi administration has taken a holistic approach to redefine healthcare delivery in Ekiti State through strengthening service delivery and infrastructural input, among other developments. In commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the wife of the governor of Ekiti State, Erelu Bisi Fayemi, commissioned 3 additional 3D ultrasound machines, digital colposcopy equipment, and other medical equipment at the Fumi Aduni Olayinka Diagnostic Wellness Center, Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital. This equipment is to be used to improve cancer prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. Erelu Fayemi is also leading a campaign to raise awareness on cancer prevention and the importance of early diagnosis. Together, we can defeat cancer. And doctors successfully transplant pig's kidney into human being. Desert locust may lead millions of people into food insecurity. Coming from FAO, with full details on page 28 on the Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria's external debt service to rise by $260 million on Eurobond issue, and this is a report. The last story on Nigerian Tribune says, Erdogan visit. Buhari says Turkey coup plotters still active in Nigeria. The details can be found on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we have a picture story here where we can see youth during a memorial rally organized by NSAS protesters to mark the first anniversary of the Lekki shooting incident in Lagos on Wednesday. And those are all the stories making headlines on the Nigerian Tribune. And we'll be right back after this timeout, where we'll continue with more stories making headlines on the different papers we have for you this morning. Welcome back. We're still on to newspaper review on ECWA television, and we're reviewing stories that make headlines on all our papers this morning. But in continuation, we have the Daily Sun newspaper.
Yes, on the Daily Sun, the big story still on #EndSARS. Protests in Lagos, Abuja, Cross River, others. Youths defy police, march on Lekki toll gate, 4 arrested, road blocked in Cross River. Nobody was killed at 2020 Lekki toll gate protests. Federal government insists, demands apologies from CNN, Amnesty International. Prosecute airing security officers, CSOs tell federal government. Kanu's absence in court will escalate protests, agitation, lawyer warns federal government. Dialogue with agitators, CNPP urges federal government, Southeast governors. UK mobilizes monarchs, religious leaders on girl-child education. Alleged 5 billion naira fraud. Ex-Minister Odua for arraignment November 22. Saraki accuses federal government of failure to resolve police brutality. God will avenge killing of innocent Nigerians, says Oyedepo. Bandits abduct 13 passengers in Niger. Police finger ESN, IPOP in Imo Monarchs killing, says council didn't notify security about meeting. The last story here says PDP governors meet over convention. And we also have several picture stories here. You want to get more details of this story, do well to get the Daily Sun and read more details. As you can also call us, let's hear your views on the show.
Thank you, Buck. Moving to this day newspaper. Security, trade takes center stage in Nigeria. Turkey agreement with the rider Buhari. Erdogan signs 8 memoranda of understanding. Countries to collaborate on fight against terrorism. And Turkish president, terror groups that tried to topple my government active here. Coming from the governor of Kaduna State is saying, I wrote Buhari since 2017 to designate bandits as terrorists. Federal government in talks with IMF on repayment term of $3.4 billion SDR. The Economist kidnappers, zealot rebels making Nigeria ungovernable, says President Buhari has allowed the rot to deepen. Once country sliding into failed state. And a big story on #EndSARS, NEC directs governors to prosecute indicted persons. Protesters hold car procession at Lekki toll gate, demand justice, says brutality continues. Police disrupt march to National Assembly. We did not stop demonstrators, Lagos insists. ECWA inaugurates Human Rights Protection Committee. Afenifere challenges federal government to fulfill promises. And the last story on this day newspaper, 8 alleged Nigerian cultists arraigned in South Africa over money laundering and others. And we have a picture story on the front page of the This Day newspaper. Do well to visit This Day newspaper to read stories that interest you. And that's all the story making headlines on This Day newspaper.
And up next is Business Day. Private jet operations boom on elections insecurity. More charter and private jet companies are springing up in Nigeria over rising insecurity and election campaign. Newsmen findings show with the general election holding in less than 15 months, politicians are already booking charter jets to fly them from one location to the other to carry out campaigns. High net worth people now book private or charter jets to local destinations as a result of rising insecurity. With elections around the corner, aspirants are now moving from one destination to another using charter jets. Still on #EndSARS, Nigeria yet to pick up from ruins of protests. Businesses are yet to recover and public infrastructure are still ruined after they were raised during the nationwide #EndSARS protest against the unpopular and now disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS 1 year ago. As youths took to the streets in Lagos and Abuja to mark the anniversary of the protest to demand an end to police brutality, small business owners are still reeling in pain. Lagos, the hotspot of the protest, is yet to rebuild police stations or replace transport infrastructure destroyed during the demonstration in 2020. That's all the stories we have on Business Day.
And for Daily Independent, the big story on #EndSARS anniversary. Policemen, soldiers battle protesters in Lagos, Abuja, and others with the rider. Protesters tear gassed, arrested, brutalized at Lekki toll gate. Barred from marching to National Assembly, PDP condemns renewed brutalization. Pro-Buhari protesters says action aimed at blackmailing president. And we have two picture story. One, we can see Omoyele Sowore leading the protest, where youth during a protest in Abuja on Wednesday tag #EndSARS Memorial. And another picture story, one of the youths being confronted by security operative at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos on Wednesday. Bandits abduct 14 travelers in Niger. Buhari, Turkish president seal deals on energy defense and others, with details in page 29. And on tax dispute, tribunal rules in favor of multi-choice. And for 2023, Okowa can never hand over to opposition party, coming from Majimite. Bandit kills 343, kidnap 830, injure 210 in Kaduna in 3 months. And on national convention, PDP rakes in 63.2 million naira from 33 aspirants. Party governors deny endorsing any candidates. Flood send village head 500 residents into exile in Akwa Ibom, destroy over 120 houses. Still on the Daily Independent newspaper, Nigerian Eagle Airline Senate committee was misled, coming from No Allah, with the rider warns against interference in NCAA tender apology. And the last story on the Daily Independent, Governor El Rufai asks federal government to declare bandits terrorists. And those are all the stories making headlines on the Daily Independent newspaper.
And moving on to The Guardian, still on #EndSARS anniversary. Crackdown as protests rock Abuja, Lagos, Enugu, Ilorin. Protesters tear gassed. Journalists arrested as car procession passes through Lekki toll gate. Tear gas fired at hoodlums, not protesters, says Lagos Commissioner of Police. Security operatives block protesters from marching to National Assembly in Abuja. Pro-government group storms Unity Fountain, says Lekki toll gate shooting hoax, accuses #EndSARS Memorial protesters of seeking to instigate unlawful change of government. Police disperse #EndSARS protesters in Ilorin as soldiers. Police dehumanize journalists, disperse protesters in Enugu. Journalists arrested, arraigned in Osogbo. No proof of any protester was killed at Lekki toll gate, says Lai Mohammed. #EndSARS victims deserve justice 1 year after. This is coming from the Amnesty International. And on multi-choice gets tribunals nod to pursue appeal. All Nigeria Editors Conference opens today in Abuja. Olufason, PDP still has a huge trust deficit. It must close it to regain power, and that starts with defining what it really stands for. Bandits in fresh attack in Niger State kidnap 32 passengers on highway. Still on crisis, APC may lose Kwara in 2023 elections, Lai Mohammed's faction warns. IPOB police clash over killing of Imo traditional rulers. Price of kerosene falls 7.9%, diesel drops marginally. PDP convention, how consensus failed in Southwest, Southeast, Northeast, South-South. Don't allow your NIN to be linked to another person's SIM. NCC warns subscribers. Coming from El Rufai to federal government, declare bandits terrorists. And we still have picture stories on the hashtag EndSARS Memorial car procession in Lagos, demonstration in Ilorin, in Ibadan, and in Abuja, with inscriptions on placards saying they kill peaceful EndSARS protesters. And a big question coming out here, is it a crime to be a Nigerian? Youths in Nigeria are asking so many questions. The first anniversary of the hashtag EndSARS protest was held with demonstrations in many towns and cities nationwide yesterday, as captured by newsmen. That's all the stories making headline on the Guardian newspaper. Do well to get the paper and read more details of stories that interest you. As you can still call us on the show, let's hear your views.
And the last paper I'll be reviewing this morning is the Nation newspaper. Lagos to enforce compulsory health insurance for residents. Nigeria, Turkey sign pact on mining and defense. 5 billion naira trade volume planned. 888 killed, 2,553 abducted in Kaduna within 9 months, and PDP governors Oke Anyanwu as secretary. And on Anambra 2021, I won't discriminate, says Ozigbo. Anambra Central to vote for APC. Physically challenged Lord INEC special attention. And CBN targets 75,000 yearly jobs for young graduates. The rider says guidelines for 5 million naira to 25 million naira loan out. The government is saying psychiatric drug test mandatory for security men. Ministers leads hashtag EndSARS response measures. Protest in Lagos, Federal Capital Territory, Ibadan, Osogbo, Benin, Jos, Akure, Enugu, and Ilorin. And the last story here, gunmen abduct 30 passengers on highway. Police IPOB behind monarch's killing. And details of such stories can be found in page 4 and page 7.
We have a call from Ms. Chiamaka from Onitsha. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go straight to the point.
I want to beg the federal government, please, let them release in that channel. Look at the peace in this nation. Please, so that people will move on. This is business. December season. Many of businessmen just use this month. These 2 months they will gather money for their expenses of next year. And look at what is happening. Please let them release in that channel. Please.
Thank you so much for calling this
I'm begging
morning.
them.
She's talking about
Thank you very much.
about the Nnamdi Kanu that is in detention. You know, we have this issue of the sit at home in the east, and this has affected business and even daily activities in the east. And now we can see that a caller is begging that he should be released so that everything will be able to move back to normalcy in the east, because as a result of looking out for ways he can be released, they've marked this every Monday where they look at where they can sit at home just to look out for ways that Nnamdi Kanu, their leader, can be released. So we'll look out for this. Thank God now there's a hearing and also in sitting concerning his case in the court. If he's found guilty, he should face the full wrath of the law, and if he's not guilty, then he should be released to go back to his loved ones and also his families. I was talking about insecurity because virtually in all our papers this morning we read about the abduction of over 30 passengers in Niger State and also in Kaduna State, where the governor of Kaduna State is saying they should declare bandits as terrorists. You can see that this is still issues of insecurity that is over flooding the country and also disrupting the peace in different states and even different community. We can see that even people are not free any longer to even travel on our highways. Highways now are being used as trap, and we can see a record that over 883 persons and even people, destruction of lives and properties in Kaduna State. You can see all these issues resulting and unfolding as a result of insecurity. Definitely, when we look at bandits, they are the main problem and also the main cause of what we are going through as a country. Definitely, they are not lovers of peace. They are not friends to Nigerians. This is not an issue where we need to be pleading on issues like this, where bandits should be declared as terrorists. They should be declared as terrorists and not just declared as terrorists. If only they are abducted, if they are found, they should face the full wrath of the law. We had over 1,000, the military talking about over 1,000 repentant bandits and even repentant Boko Haram. But believe you me, we don't need these people to go back to the society, because when you talk about issues of people making people homeless, rendering people homeless, and even loss of loved ones, these are the people at the forefront of all these issues. Definitely, they should face the full wrath of the law, because if these people are accepted back to the society, if they are accepted back to the society...
We have a caller from Enugu. Good morning this morning. I think we lost our caller there.
Yes, do well to call us back. If they are accepted back into the society, that means it's a guarantee for people to go about doing illegal things, and later on you come back and beg and you are accepted into society. Everyone needs to be used as an example, and these people also need to be used as an example. Something needs to be done about it. If really we want peace to be restored back in the country 100%, then all those people should be used as an example, and if they are caught, they should face the full wrath of the law.
Of course, I agree with you on that, Tosin. Just like I will always maintain, let's go back to the book. What is it saying? What is the book saying about criminals, about people who disrupt the peace of the nation and they are found guilty? They are being caught at the end of the day. What are we supposed to do to them? Are they supposed to be set free? If that's what the law is saying, let's go by the book. But it is true that injustice is the order of day in our country today. Why? Because we see armed robbers, we see people in the society, common men in the society, who are being caught in some of these acts, similar acts such as this, and they are being paraded on all media stations, on print media, on everywhere, so that people will know that yes, they are criminals. But few weeks ago, we saw how that the federal government came out to say that they know who are the people sponsoring this banditry in Nigeria, people sponsoring cases of insecurity in Nigeria, but they cannot be named. Why? Because of injustice. Why? Because it's obvious that some people are truly above the law, which is not supposed to be. What is the book saying? If these people are truly criminals and we have their names, why can't we fish them out? Why can't we name them? Why can't they be publicized, just like other common men in the society are being publicized when they are caught in acts like this? It is true that yes, Nigerians will continue to believe that the government of Nigeria has a hand in the issues of insecurity, because if we have names of these people who sponsor bandits, who sponsor people that attack and disrupt the peace of the nation, destroying properties of people in the nation, and they cannot be called out. We have a call from eBay from Abba. Good morning.
In the country, I want to talk about it. Someone whose house is burning will not have time to chase rats. If Nigeria actually has one spirit and they are working towards the welfare of all her citizens, deploy the police to every village, the army to every village. With handsets, you can dictate, this one they call bandits or IPOD or terrorists, as the case may be. They are good names, so that you furnish the security men of the country. There is no way somebody will want to bring fight to his mother's kitchen. This is what the federal government is doing. The federal government should preserve human life, property, ensure research to enter industrialization for the well-being good of everybody. What is the end point of the focus of this federal government? Is the state government relying on collecting allocation and sharing among themselves? Call it one party or 10 parties, we don't know. It wasn't so when we were growing up. We had free education, we had scholarship. But today, those things are no more. The youth are not happy. Leaders of this country, remember what happened in Ghana? There was a revolution there, many people were killed. Even today, when bandits overrun us, like in Afghanistan, they will turn to begin to kill those who did not buy weapons to fight the Taliban. Please, think twice.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. It's really sad that, yes, Nigerians are not happy, and to come to the understanding and realization that, yes, people in Nigeria are no more blind towards what is happening in the nation today. We believe that, yes, the resolution to all these problems will come to an end, and it will come to pass by the grace of God. And still looking at what we're talking about, the issues of insecurity and injustice, this is what is hovering and becoming the order of day in the nation. We just pray that the government would do something. And if truly this is what we will wake up to on a daily basis, trust me, Nigeria will not be heading anywhere better tomorrow. But we just pray and we keep hope alive that, yes, things will get better by the grace of God.
Yes, we are optimistic that Nigeria will rise again. Thank you, Buck, for doing this with me. And a step to overcome fear and failure is to do something that scares you every day. Have a good morning. Why are you laughing?